Alright, yo, what is going on, you guys? My name is Bubba, and welcome back to another insane story. So today's video takes place back when I was in high school, and funny enough, this was my grade 11th year when I was working at a restaurant. If you guys don't know, back when I was in grade 11, I worked in a couple restaurants because, well, they pay the best money. Like, think about it like this. When you work at a restaurant, you get paid tips, but at the same time, though, I was only a line cook, so I wasn't really making much money, but I was still making something. And I remember one of the reasons why I always worked at restaurants was because there was a lot of hot girls that work in the restaurant industry. For example, there were hot waitresses, and on top of that, there were hot hosts. And honestly, it just seemed like the best place for me because, well, if you guys don't know me well enough or you guys are new to the channel, I always like to do the devil's tango. So it just made the most sense to me. Anyways, I remember one time, it was like my second week there, and I was put on dish duty. I was basically putting dishes away and stuff, which honestly sucks, but at the same time, don't get me wrong, it wasn't that bad because cleaning dishes and sending them through a dishwasher is easier than it sounds. It's just really repetitive. But there was one part of being a dishwasher that was actually enjoyable, and that was getting all the dishes that I've already cleaned and putting them away back where they belong, at the front. If you guys don't know, basically, since I was in the kitchen, I got to occasionally go to the front and be able to put away some of the dishes that would need to be cleaning. And also, at the time when I would always put these plates away, I'd usually go up and end up flirting with the waitresses up there. And I remember one time when I was putting away dishes, I ended up seeing one of the waitresses and I ended up kind of flirting with her. I was like, hey, like, how you doing? Like, you're kind of cute. What are you doing back here? And she looked at me and said, stop, Bubba. I'm literally in the middle of my shift. And I remember this girl was like somewhat older than me, but she was really attractive, and there was no way I was not gonna flirt with her because, you know, if it walks and she's hot, well, I mean, why not? Anyways, I was flirting with her, and then one thing led to another. She ended up telling me, okay, Bubba, like, you need to relax. And then afterwards, I said, oh, all right, well, whatever. And I ended up going back to my shift. After a while, though, I remember one time she ended up coming to the back and she started talking to me and stuff as she was putting dishes away that need to be cleaned. And for some reason, at first, it seemed like she didn't want to do anything with me, as if she had a boyfriend or something. But then after a while, as I didn't give her the attention she wanted, she started really wanting to talk to me more, which is one thing I learned. To all the guys out there that like a girl, if you give the girl too much attention in the beginning, they won't want to be with you. But if you give them just a little attention, then maybe over time, they will want you more. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. I have no idea. But anyways, going on with the story, I remember as this girl would flirt with me and stuff, I basically just kind of went along with it, ended up adding her on Snapchat, and then one thing led to another. We ended up kind of flirting over the phone. And me and her, it's not like the first time we've worked together. We've worked together a lot, and that's because we always did late night shifts. But this is where the story gets really juicy. I remember the next day when I went to school, I went into my keyboarding class because I had something to hand in. I know it sounds really dumb that I took keyboarding class, but you guys gotta understand, when you're on the computer like 80% of your life, learning to type fast is one of the main things you gotta learn. Because if you don't learn how to type fast, well, it's just purely embarrassing. But I remember I ended up learning how to type fast, and I had an assignment to hand in where it basically showed that I was able to type over 100 words per minute, which I can write over 100 words per minute. I think I can write over 132 words per minute. If I'm being exact, I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. But basically, I remember when I went up to my teacher and was handing this in, my teacher ended up looking at me, but he looked really sad. I have no idea why. So I remember I looked at him and told him, yo, like, listen, I know it's not like any of my business, but like, I was just wondering, are you okay? He ends up looking at me and saying, Bubba, I really don't want to talk about this right now. Thank you for your assignment. Yeah, thank you. But I remember as he was saying that to me, I was looking over his shoulder and I literally saw what was going on his phone. Apparently, his girlfriend was really not having a good time with him and basically ended up saying how basically she needed time to be with herself and kind of figure out some stuff and needs some time alone. Now, guys, I'm not dumb, okay? I'm gonna say this right now. When a girl says she needs time to figure out herself, that usually means, hey, I found a really hot guy and I really want to flirt with him a little bit and see where it goes. It never actually means they need to be alone, because what most girls need is attention, and no girl wants to actually be alone. So I remember I ended up telling him, dude, this sentence right here that your girl said, yeah, I'm gonna be for real with you, bro. She's seeing someone else. I remember my teacher looked at me in anger saying, why would you even say that, dude? Like, really? Are you really saying that to me right now? He ends up standing up and saying that I should leave the classroom, and I ended up leaving. But I'm gonna be straight up honest. When a bro needs help, a bro's gonna get help. And it's pretty obvious here that that girl was definitely playing with him. Like, no doubt. Now, you guys are probably wondering how the teacher is correlated to the actual story. Well, if you guys saw the title of this video, it makes sense later on. Basically, after that whole entire thing and me handing in my assignment, I remember I ended up going back home that day after school and basically started getting ready for work. And when I got ready, I ended up snapping this girl, and the girl honestly stopped kind of snapping me that I would hit up at the restaurant. I found it odd at first, but me knowing I was gonna go see her at the restaurant got me more excited to figure out what was going on. So I ended up getting my things, basically driving down there, and when I got there, I remember I saw her and she seemed really off. I have no idea why, so I remember I started talking to her saying, hey, like, yo, is everything good? And then she just told me, just nothing. Like, I don't really just feel like closing closing today. I don't know why. I just have this weird feeling. And after she said that, I told her, well, don't worry. If anything happens, just, talk to me. I'll be here for you. And I ended up going back. At this time, I remember basically me and her, we were basically together the whole entire night because we were both doing closing shift for the restaurant. And basically, it was really weird because I remember at one random point of the night, and this was like almost towards closing, for some reason, this waitress ends up running to the back of the restaurant, running to where I was at and saying, Bubba, can I like stay back here, please? I remember I look at her and say, why, what's wrong? Is everything all right? And then she ends up saying, no, I think like my boyfriend's like watching me or like following me. I have no idea, but like he's literally here and I don't know where he is though. I ended up asking her, why would your boyfriend follow you? That sounds really weird. And also, you have a boyfriend and you're flirting with me? Is what I said. And that's when I started to kind of like understand that like, she started telling me how he was really weird and how his job keeps him really uptight and that, he was just being a weird guy and just wanted to move on. Honestly, girls really usually sometimes have a good reason for things, but she is not really one of them. But I basically told her it's okay, just stay with me because I didn't know if this was like an actual guy that would actually hurt her physically. Because, physical abuse it's a whole different conversation there. And then I ended up saying, okay, just chill back here. If anything happens, I'll just call the manager. I'll just take care of the rest of your tables and everything. Because I did have waitressing experience to know how to take care of tables. Anyways, we ended up going through that with the night. And basically afterwards, I remember when the night was closing and it was basically time to end everything, I basically started cleaning up the kitchen. She ended up cleaning up the front. And me and her, we decided to take a break and go to the back of the restaurant. If you guys don't know, at the back of every restaurant, there's like a door that can open and you can basically take breaks there, relax, pull out a chair. And I remember the waitress that I was working with, she vapes. So, as gross as it is being a vapor, she was vaping in front of me as I was eating my peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I remember as I was eating my sandwich and she was vaping a fat cloud over my face, I remember she told me how basically this whole thing between her and her boyfriend's been hard and that how he's really uptight and all this stuff over and over again. It got to the point where basically it was old news. But then afterwards, I remember basically as we were just sitting there and I stood up about to tell her something, I told her the secret words that most girls want to hear. Well, like, honestly, just move on. Do what you want to do best. You know yourself better than anyone. I gave her that like motivational speech that every girl enjoys to hear after, they go through a hard situation. Because girls, when they're most vulnerable, it seems like you could literally tell them anything and they would love you. And then afterwards, I remember this girl, after I said that, she ended up coming up to me and literally started making out with me in the back of the restaurant with work clothes on and her mouth tasting like watermelons because of her vape. I have no idea. I found vaping disgusting, by the way. Don't vape, guys. And then basically, I remember after when that was happening, she literally started like, flirting with me even more and more. And we kept making out the back of the restaurant, even though we still had to close it down. But then right as it was happening, I ended up seeing a car pull up to the back of the restaurant out of nowhere. And I start panicking. I'm like, oh, who's this? Is this like the manager or something? No, it was literally my keyboarding teacher coming out of his car and saying, wait, what? Are you serious? You're cheating on me with my student? Wait, what is what I said? And then afterwards, I realized it was him. And the girl ended up looking at me saying, what do you mean he's your student? He's literally like 21. I'm not actually 21 is what I told her right after. I'm like, actually, I'm like 17. She ends up looking at me all like freaked out. And then afterwards, I remember my teacher ends up saying, so this is what you're going to see me with? This is what you're trying to do? I don't know. He started basically freaking out and crying. And I remember basically they had a whole situation. And basically the girl ended up calling the cops saying how her boyfriend was harassing her and ended up leaving. And after the whole situation happened, I had to give a statement of what happened and like, the whole situation. And then afterwards, I went inside the restaurant, started closing it down, and I started to realize one thing. This was my keyboarding teacher that just got arrested in front of me. Are you serious right now? Anyways, afterwards, I remember I realized that the waitress ended up blocking me on Snapchat, which I mean, I don't blame her because she only worked like a week after and ended up getting fired. And then after that, I remember the next day when I went to school after the whole situation, my keyboarding teacher wasn't there until 2 weeks later. And 2 weeks later, when he saw me in the hallway, he came up to me and said, hey, Bubba, I'm not going to take your advice ever again, but please just don't talk to her anymore. And ended up walking away. He wasn't my keyboarding teacher anymore because he ended up leaving the school for personal reasons. Or I just think it's because he got a criminal record, but who knows? Anyways, guys, that's basically it for today's story. Make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And like I always say, follow for more embarrassing stories. Peace out, guys.